And bye. Yo, what's going on, everybody? We're back at you again with another episode of the Duck Squad podcast. Why you jumping like that?
I don't know. I felt like I was being quiet. I don't know.
No, it's all good.
Okay. If you're wondering, oh, it's just two people, right? It's just these two kids that do this podcast. You're wrong.
We got a special guest in the building, a good friend of ours. Say hello to my main man, my slime, Patrick. Say what's up, Patrick.
What's going on?
Patrick's a friend of ours. We used to all work together over at this pet store together, along with another friend of ours, Danielle. We're going to get her on the podcast pretty soon. But we bring our boy Patrick in for this episode because it's a very special episode that we're doing. What are we doing today?
You asking me or Patrick?
I was asking my co-host. Go ahead, Haley.
Okay. We are talking about Tyler, the Creator's new album, Chromakopia, today.
It came out too late to be nominated for the Grammys this season. Next season, it will be nominated. Then
it'll be Album of the Year. That was a mess.
It's all good. I'm pretty sure you know where this is heading, well, in terms of review-wise. But we're going to get into this real fast. But before we do that, we want to give like a little intro on who Tyler, the Creator is and everything, his little journey here. Slime, you want to do it?
Yeah, Patrick, you do it, because I feel like you've been a fan of Tyler way longer than I have. I'm kind of a newer fan.
How far back are you talking? Like, are you talking?
Just give like a brief Wikipedia summary.
Tyler's been around for a minute, guys. Like, yeah, just give a brief summary going album from album, journey-wise, personally-wise.
That his first mixtape was Bastard?
Yeah, back in 2009, very early start. Going from there, like his first official release album was Goblin, which really put him on the map, with songs like Yonkers, She with Frank Ocean. And back then, just in general, there was this big move thanks to this sort of hip-hop group he had with his label called Odd Future, spinning off dudes like himself, Frank Ocean again,
Earl Sweatshirt.
Yep. Yeah, see, there we go. But yeah, back at the time, very young, up-and-coming rapper, a lot of potential, bit out there personality-wise at the time, I think we could say.
Yeah.
As a person. But the music, you could see the music, you could see the potential, and think it showed even more going into this next album, Wolf, which I think was a lot stronger, a bit more personal. You saw a lot of growth with him as not just a rapper, but as an artist. And I think that showed even more going after that with Cherry Bomb, which I think was a real game changer for him.
100%.
After that, the big one for me, I think what really put him on the map, like in terms of respect, in terms of like mainstream appeal, was 2017's Flower Boy. I think that was the album that really made people take Tyler a bit seriously as a rapper.
That's also when he first started mainly self-producing the projects as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like you can really tell too when you listen to these albums. You can tell it's way different, and it sounds so much more like meticulous with every little sound you hear, every line of lyric. It seems so much more intentional. Not that in the past they didn't, but I just feel like it's a lot more emphasized now.
It's more strategic, how he puts everything together, from like getting a feature or his own lyrics or even the production.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by then, going into Igor, I think Igor was definitely the album where like he was just at top form, top of his game. He had the mainstream appeal. He had the built-in fan base. And there was just a level of maturity, not just as an artist, but as a person, I think, that we've seen from him. And again, like it also got him awards. Like I believe his first Grammy came from Best Rap Album for that album.
I believe so too.
It was also, I think, was this his first #1 album?
I also want to say it was his first #1 album.
I'm pretty sure.
Beat DJ Khaled.
Oh yeah.
That was a whole thing.
They both dropped on the same Friday, and they were both going for that #1, and Tyler ended up passing, and Igor beat the
very different styled hip-hop albums, very different appeal. A bit surprising, given how much popularity DJ Khaled had at the time as well. DJ Khaled was kind of everywhere around that time. It was a bit surprising to see him lose that, but I think that just showed how much people were finally here for Tyler, the Creator, as a rapper.
Yeah, I feel like around at that point in DJ Khaled's career, it was kind of teetering towards the end. No shade, but like I think in one of the interviews Tyler the Creator had, he explained it perfectly. His whole personality is just, we the best music, we're number one. So when you don't hit number one, it's just, Tyler said, your whole ego is just like crushed. How do you come back from that? And it also kind of just shows like how much, like what kind of person DJ Khaled was, and I don't know.
I think, yeah, it also shows the maturity that Tyler had gained over the years in his career, but in terms of also, again, no shade to DJ Khaled, but maybe a bit of a immaturity side going for that, because at the end of the day, you know, you're just trying to release music that your fans can enjoy, as opposed to like going for like number ones, going for this, going for that. I don't think really that's what's in Tyler's vision board when it came to making Igor. It just kind of happened that way, just in terms of growth of himself and his career and his fan base, and that carried on to one of his more recent albums, Call Me If You Get Lost, back in 2021, which by then,
another great album.
This was around the time when I really started to get into Tyler too. I didn't truly get into him until like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, but right around Call Me When You Get Lost is right when I was like, oh, okay, I gotta listen to more than just the hits. Like, I gotta really listen to this guy.
But yeah, no, anyway. Another number one, Igor was the first number one, by the way. I just looked that up. Another number one.
We stand fact checking.
Another Grammy for Best Rap Album. He's at the top of his game right now, and I think that shows even more on this new album, which I think not only has a good chance of winning Best Rap Album next year, but also maybe Album of the Year, at least a nomination.
Yeah,
he has to win 100%
at least a nomination.
Yeah, this is some of his best work.
I agree. Yeah,
it's a very strong body of work here.
And as of right now, it's been number one for 3 weeks in a row now.
Actually, I think today marks 3 weeks because they calculate album sales get official on Sundays. We're recording on a Sunday today, so I think
I'm pretty sure earlier today this marks the 3rd week.
Nice.
Yeah. It also makes me want to get into the release strategy with this album.
Oh yeah.
Because with the way albums release these days, they come out on Fridays, so you typically get like the weekend to listen to, get a solid few listens in. But Tyler, he wanted to do something a little bit different with this album. He released it on a Monday, and as opposed to like, oh yeah, maybe you can just listen to it on the weekend, but he felt as though maybe doing it that way, you're not absorbing it in the way that maybe you should, as opposed to listening to it on Monday on your way to school, on your way to work. It was very risky sort of strategy because that cuts off how much sales that you can get in on your first week. So like there was a pretty good chance that maybe he wouldn't get the number one, maybe the sales wouldn't have been the strongest they would have been, but the sales actually turned out to be his strongest debut, and he still got the number one, even when he was.
And he even dropped it at, I think it was like 6 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it wasn't
it was at midnight, so
he
missed out on that whole day as well. It was about halfway, or 6 hours in instead of the whole day.
Yeah. I remember waking up Monday to get ready for work, and I get up a little bit earlier. I remember going and checking like, oh, it's already up. I also wanted to bring that up because I really appreciate that he did that intentionally, because I'm really bad at like when something drops on like a Friday night, I don't really listen to it right away. I have such FOMO with things, but at the same time, I'm really bad at listening to albums when they first come out. But because this dropped on a Monday, I was able to just like play it in my car on the way to work and then end up listening to it while I'm at work, and then I could spend that whole week just listening to it over and over and kind of like picking up on all these little details and stuff, versus just like listening to it when I get home from work and I'm tired and like I'm not really paying attention to it, or like in his case he didn't want to upload it on a Friday night because then people are at like parties or they're like doing other things and they're not giving it the full attention and not really listening to it. And with this album in particular, it's really important to point that out, because this is such a vulnerable, different side that we haven't seen before, really. Like these songs are so much more like they're really deep. Not that Igor and Call Me If You Get Lost have really deep songs, and of course like Goblin does too, but this is a whole different side where
you listen to those albums and like you kind of get a sense of he's heading in that sort of direction, but like it's just more like hinted at. You get bits and pieces here, but this album as a whole body of work feels like, I would say, probably his most personal work overall.
Tyler himself did say that it is the most honest piece of work he's made yet. And he said it's 100% honest, no holding back. And to talk kind of about the mask in the album art, he said that it's a mask of his own face.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool because in every album he's dropped, he has a character
personas,
to go, like a persona to go with the album. And with this persona, it's pretty much just himself, and he's wearing a mask of himself. I thought was really interesting. I think all of his choices lately are interesting though, because everything he does is so intentional. And I'm gonna bring astrology into this for a second because I'm really
go off, Queen.
Because I'm really into astrology, and Tyler is a Virgo moon. I am also a Virgo moon, and so are you, Patrick. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
And so is my special someone. Basically, what that means. Yeah, you're not. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll get into that in a second. Tyler, the Creator, his moon sign is in Virgo, which means that he is stereotypically very like organized, very intricate, very intentional with choices, and very just overall put together and organized, especially when it comes to like creation and cleaning. You're organized and stuff, obviously. And they also say that in astrology, if you look up your moon sign and then your favorite artist's moon signs, a lot of times they either are the same or very compatible. So I didn't know this before I started getting into Tyler, the Creator, but then I looked it up, I'm like, oh, that makes sense because of all these little choices that he makes and these personas he makes and like all these intricate details in every song and his personas. Like that makes so much sense to me. Another example is like Bo Burnham is another Virgo moon, and he like the choices that he makes are very like unique as well. You're an Aries moon.
Mm-hmm.
You know who else is an Aries moon?
Say it.
Rihanna.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until you told me, so I thought that was a really fun fact.
Yeah, you had me look up who some Aries moons were. It's like I didn't know either, but I looked it up. I saw Rihanna. I'm like, oh, I'm hooked. I'm cool.
That's cool. Did you see anybody else?
I can't remember much off the top of my head. There were a couple of actors, I believe. I'd have to look it up again. I just got lost when I saw Rihanna. I'm like, everybody else can go sit down. Oh, Selena Gomez. That's one. That's a pretty cool one. Benedict Cumberbatch. Y'all know Benedict Cumberbatch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Cardi B. Oh, there's actually a lot of cool people now. I'm looking at it. Rihanna, of course. Tom Hiddleston. Loki. Chris Rock. Yeah, a lot of people. A lot of cool actors. A lot of cool singers, artists.
Yeah, so if you have any interest in astrology at all, all you need to know is your birthday, kind of the area where you were born in, and you can figure out all this stuff and see how many other people have similar or compatible signs and stuff. It's really fun. But anyway, that's another point I wanted to bring up with the details that he chooses, because he doesn't mess around. He puts in the work for what he wants to do. Yeah.
I see a lot of artists, they drop constantly in the streaming era. But Tyler,
try like once a year, give or take.
Whether it's an album, an EP, or at least just some droplet singles, they try to release as much as possible, as opposed to Tyler, who has built himself a bit of a schedule.
He was every other year,
right,
for a long time. Up until last year, he broke the streak, and instead he dropped a deluxe for Call Me When You Get Lost. And there was actually a song when he first promoted it where you can see him kind of killing off all of these other personas, and all that's left is him, which leads right into himself being for Chromakopia.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a nice little extra something for the fans, but also a way of showing a transition into this new era, into this new persona, which was really cool.
Also, I want to point out, I don't know if this was ever confirmed or not, but saw a lot of rumors that this like new persona is also inspired by Chroma the Great from a book. It's called The Phantom Toll Booth. It was also like an animated movie, I think. But this character, Chroma, his whole thing was he was a conductor and he created color in the world. If you Google and look at like a photo of his animated character, his hairstyle looks very similar to the hairstyle that Tyler has on the album cover. It like in this teaser video that Tyler dropped, he's marching with all the people. Then they're marching into this box, and it's all black and white. And then it explodes, and it turns into color. I mean, there's not a ton of like hints or anything throughout the songs that really confirm this, but I thought it was interesting.
No, yeah, I could definitely see the correlation. Yeah,
the more you learn.
Yeah, the more you know, the more you read. I don't read. Do you read?
Sometimes.
I don't read as much as I should.
So you want to dive into the...
Before that, I just want to say one more thing about the whole deluxe thing.
Yeah.
I remember Tyler talking about how he doesn't really do deluxes. If you go back, most of his projects are just the album, no deluxe. Except I think his earlier works, he would like re-release the album, but with the instrumentals attached.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He said that during the Call Me When You Get Lost era, he he made a lot of songs for the first time during an era that he felt he wanted to release, as opposed to working on an album and then that's it. He had a bunch of, I guess you can say, throwaways, but he wanted those throwaways out. So he's like, okay, I'll drop the deluxe, have the fans tie them over for a year. And then this album was pretty much a surprise drop. He just all of a sudden in October, I think, he was like, yeah, this album's coming. And then next thing you know, here's a release date.
Oh, yeah, he dropped it really quick.
No, yeah, it was literally like bam, bam, bam. It was out.
I really like that though, because when somebody announces that something's going to drop in like 3 months from now,
I hate the wait like, because you're so excited, but it's like
yeah, like they maybe will drop a single or two on the way, but even then it's like I still have to wait like 3 more months. I like that he also dropped maybe a week before the release date. He dropped Noid.
Yeah,
which was cool. Yeah, it was like a perfect like amount of time in between. I'm ready. If y'all are.
If you guys are all set, yeah, we can go ahead and dive into the album. We're gonna take this track by track, give you a little insight on what we thought of each track, give you a ranking, and then we'll just go over our thoughts at the end.
Oh, so. Hold up! I got something. Sorry, I got something just now because we have a live audience in the background here breaking listening. He's not breaking any rules.
I said breaking news.
Oh, breaking news. We have breaking news. We have breaking news. My special someone is also a very big Tyler fan. He wanted to point out that Goblin has a deluxe version with a different cover and extended version of Yonkers and 3 extra songs.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, we're just going to dive into the songs unless there's anything else.
Sorry.
Track number 1. St. Chroma, featuring Daniel Caesar.
Yeah.
Patrick, you the special guest. You want to go first? Tell us what you thought of the song?
Yeah.
So, it is really good for an intro. Mm-hmm. Just everything tied together from the production, the feature, Tyler's vocals. I believe it was the first song he even teased from like the trailer of the album.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Like he didn't play the full song, but it was like kind of a snippet.
That was the case with a lot of this stuff. It was like bits and pieces of everything.
He would like release a 10, 20-second snippet and then piece it together. So pretty much for like my main thing for the first 3 songs of the album, I just like how the 3 of them transition perfectly. To me, it's kind of like the 3 of them are one long song instead of just 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of hard for me to be like, I do like the song, but it's hard for me to be like, oh, I'd give it like this rating or that rating. I kind of like all 3 of them as one type of thing.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah, just going off a little bit what you said, I think, yeah, it's definitely a very nice way starting the album. I really love Daniel Caesar in particular. I think he's a very underrated sort of R&B artist. He has a beautiful voice, and I think it showed even more here. His vocals really stood out to me. Harmonies on this track were really strong. The overall message I really loved. This was a really wonderful start, I thought. What do you think?
This was like such a perfect beginning to this album. Mm-hmm. It just opens with marching, and I love the crescendo like throughout the beginning of the song up until like 2 minutes in, where it's just like the marching and the whispering and the tempo. It's like ramping you up, and then at like almost 2 minutes in, the drums kick in, and it's such like a rock vibe to it. It was very cool.
It also starts off with him chanting Chromakopia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also like in the beginning, it starts with the audio of his mom talking. Mm-hmm. And one of the lines she says is something along the lines of like, "You are the light." And if you look at his album art cover, his face is literally in the light, which I thought that was a cool tie-in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he really is the light on this whole, this whole album's about really like him.
It's him. Yeah.
It's his story. It's him just going off.
Yeah.
Just being honest about himself and what he does. I know you said that you needed like more of a ranking overall, but like if you were just a bit of a ranking for this particular song, what would you say?
So
on a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, 1 to 10?
Yeah.
For that one, I give it like a 9.1. Like I just think that, especially for it being the intro to the album, it works so well.
I agree. Very nice start. I personally would say maybe 8 out of 10. Nothing particularly bad or anything. I just think, it gets stronger as it goes along. But I think it's a really strong start to the album. Again, I really love Daniel Caesar. I think he really stood out here. 8 out of 10 for me. What do you think?
Oh, actually, sorry. I want to change it to an 8.9. Oh, I was thinking because if I give it this one such a high rank, and then it'll be hard to be like, well,
You gotta be careful.
You got, yeah.
That just shows where this album review is headed.
Yeah. Oh no, it's yes. I revoke it. 8.9. Very good song.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I got you.
I also gave the song an 8 out of 10. I hope we don't have beef on this album, but
I was looking at your notes. I didn't see anything, so I think we'll be okay.
Okay, I have to stop writing physical notes. That's the problem. Is I handwrite everything so he can just grab it and look.
It's tradition now.
It is tradition, I guess. 8 out of 10. This is such a solid, good start to his album. I also want to point out, if you've seen clips of his pop-up shows or anything yet, and when the song is playing, he's like conducting in certain parts, which is, I feel like is like a nod to Chroma the Great. I like when he runs in the song and he stops at the pause where it goes Chromakopia and he just keeps running. I thought that was fun. I also really like the lyric in this song. Give a f about traditions, stop impressing the dead. I had to think about that line for a minute. I really appreciate that line because why are we trying to do these traditions and stuff just without a thought when we can create things and do things differently, which I think he's known for doing. He's like, I'll do whatever I want as long as I put in the work and if I'm, it's going to be great. So 8 out of 10, solid start.
All right. Moving on from there, we're going to get into track number 2, Ratata. That's what it is, Ratata. It's even kind of how he says it.
It is.
What'd you think, man?
Honestly, I give that one just somewhere, just 9.9. It's probably my favorite song on the album.
Yeah.
It's just from his flow to the beat to just even seeing like clips of him performing it, and it's just like it's such a nice track. And he was spitting. I like how it's a serious song, but it has that little bit comedy twist in it. Like when cuts in, he goes, and those women, like
yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think when it comes to like rap, when it comes to hip hop, my favorite kind of rap hip hop is just when the rapper is just going off, when the rapper is just spitting. You give him a really nice beat, him or her. You give them a really nice beat, and they just start flowing. They just start showing their skills with the entendres, flow, and everything. And that's exactly what this track was. I love the production. The beat on this track was crazy. I thought Tyler was, like you said, he was just straight spitting. I had a couple favorite lines, like the line with about you don't have to call Usher Raymond. That was a good line. Give a respect to Kendrick Lamar, saying, I'm second only to Kendrick. Because speaking of Kendrick, that might be a bit of the competition he may have next year.
Yeah.
We'll see what Kendrick comes through with. But that line was cool. The Baby Crib line was really fun. I just really love this track. I love the production. I love the spitting. This is just my favorite kind of rap. What about you?
Oh, and he also shouts out Lionel on the track.
Oh yeah,
about boys from drama class now, and how Lionel's actually on a pretty successful show that's going on right now, The Bear.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool little shout out because to his like Odd Future days, him and Lionel were very close. I imagine they're still close to this day, but he was there for the come up.
He mentions that line, "My boys in drama club, he can act now." He mentions that in another song later in the album too, which I thought it was cool. He dropped that line twice. This is probably my favorite song on the album as well, and it was since the day it dropped, because what a great follow-up to Saint Chroma, where it's just that crescendo and building and building and building into the opening of this album, and then he just drops this banger as number 2. It's perfect timing, and I remember the first time I heard this song, I was driving to work, and I felt so hyped up. Like, I felt the adrenaline, and I was like, now I have to go sit for 8 hours? Like, are you kidding me?
It's just such a good lyrical song.
Yeah.
And just
one of my favorite lines is the one that James brought up, is "Crib so damn big, I need a diaper and a sippy cup." That line is so cute. This song is so good. It is so good. This is also, Patrick, you mentioned like bringing a couple lines of like that comedy vibe into it. Yeah. I heard somewhere that the line 100,000 on me, 50,000 on me, I heard that was an inside joke between him and some of his friends. So that's
great. Yeah. That is great. Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it in. Going back to the transition between the song 1, 2, and 3 all together, the very last word in the song is "I'm."
Yeah,
and it goes right into 3.
Right,
it's perfect. When you listen to just the song on its own, it's so out of place, but that's so on purpose too. They were supposed.
It hits every time.
It does. It's so great. So I gave the song a 10 out of 10.
I was originally gonna say 9 out of 10, but just sitting here like giving my bit of a review, I don't really have any complaints that would argue giving it anything lower than a 10 out of 10 for me. I just loved everything about it. The beat, the flow, the lines. It was just crazy. So I'm actually going to say 10 out of 10 too.
Yes. I also want to say Patrick was a GOAT and he scored us some Tyler tickets when he goes on tour. I am so excited to hear this song live out of every song he could play.
And like I said, that part where he said, and those women, I saw recently, he said something like, he hopes the crowd just yells that part.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. It's just,
I'm so ready.
It's going to be such the crowd is going to go insane. Because like you said, it's such like an adrenaline pumping song. And that's the type of song you want to hear when you're at a concert. Like 100%. Everyone's going to go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume an outdoor venue. And like, I feel like that's all I've been doing lately. But because when they're indoor, usually you're excited for all the tech aspects and the lighting and everything. But since this is going to be outdoor, I'm really just excited to I don't know, because he puts on a persona and he has like almost like a character for everything. So he's going to act everything out. So I'm just excited to see all that when I'm normally excited to see all the tech stuff. But yeah.
Because he is also an actor. You know, like he's not just a performer. He's an actor on top of like...
He knows how to give you a show.
Yeah, because like he can riff, kind of make jokes in between songs and kind of
that's really
monologue
a too.
And just
Yeah, no, people think it's easy to hop on a stage and just do that kind of thing. Like, no, it takes us talent.
And you're talking thousands of people in front of them.
It's not that simple. With that, I think we can go ahead and move on to track number 3, Noid. This was one of the few songs that was previewed beforehand. What'd you think, man?
So I do like Noid. And like I said from the beginning, the 3 songs, they kind of all play together. Especially just like that last transition, how it just goes from one to the next. And if you're just listening to one song, it feels kind of out of place. But when together, it just feels like one long song. It's a different type of song too. Like it has what was the other language that's spoken?
I actually can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't remember what the language was.
Stand by.
I feel like it works really well. Even if I don't speak the language or whatever. I just think it was placed very well.
I get what you're saying.
And just like the overall flow of the song. And it was a really good single.
Zambanian language. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, but I believe
Zambian?
That's basically what you were saying. But it definitely worked very well on the track. Just a little bit for myself, I love the explosive beat on this track in particular. I think this is definitely one of the stronger produced tracks on the album. I will say of the 3, because they definitely do go hand in hand with one another, this might be my least favorite of the 3.
Yeah.
Probably the weakest. Nothing like terrible about it or anything. Just think, the flow, rapping a little bit wasn't maybe as strong as it was on like Ratata.
Yeah.
And I also think the musicality of it maybe wasn't as strong as on Chroma. Just overall, I just think it's more in comparison with the other tracks. You listen to the other tracks and like they're just so top tier that this one maybe falls a little bit more falls short a little bit more in comparison to what I'm trying to say. But definitely
a really good song.
Really good song. No complaints in particular. What do you think?
We may have beef, but I don't know yet. Sorry.
I see your ranking. We might.
So before I even get into what I thought, I want to point out. Okay. Audio listeners, I don't know what he's doing. I think he's making fun of me.
No, go ahead.
No, he's not. But so Noid is 4 minutes and 44 seconds long. 444.
That's very long for a track.
It is long, but
it was a single though.
Okay.
So
Side point, I also really appreciate that these songs are longer than like 2 minutes each because there's so much to be told in each song that he plays. So for the most part, most of these songs are more than like 3 minutes long. But I kind of got into that more when we talked about Clouded from This Wildlife. So tune in if you want to hear our opinions about the length of songs. Anyway, 444 is an angel number. And that angel number, I believe, is good for like protection and security over yourself and your whatever you own or whatever belongs to you. I thought that might be a fun, intentional little fact because of what Noid's about, because it's really about him dealing with this new level of fame that he's accrued, and he has to deal with paparazzi, he has to deal with fans coming up to him asking for photos all the time. Like, he can't live a normal life anymore. He's too big to do that.
And he's only been getting bigger. That's the thing. Like, because he's not shy to talk about his opinion on like fans coming up to him asking for pictures or like he's been dealing with that since the beginning. But like, he's been getting more and more famous as time goes on.
This is something he's talked about for a while now, like back on Wolf. What was that song? What was that song
I can't think of the name, but I know we all Six Flags.
Yes.
Stand by.
What was the song? Colossus. Thank you. So on Colossus, he starts talking about this, just the paranoia of fans coming up to him, and he's like, I just want to be a person.
He was just at Six Flags, and people were just like, hey, can I have a picture? And he's like, no.
No.
They take it anyways, I guess. I mean, that's how it goes sometimes. It's just being famous.
Unfortunately, I saw a video recently that the paparazzi took of him, and
I love the whole clips of him just messing
they were
with
all
him, kind of.
Yeah, he just wanted to walk out to his car and leave from wherever he was leaving, and
they
were all crowded around his car, and he was like, I will run you all over and I will win the lawsuit. And they were all like, you're so mean, Tyler, that's not
He's
nice.
Like, yes I am.
And he's like, well, I'm nice. He's the meanest nice celebrity that, you know what I mean?
I get what you're trying to say.
It's because they're borderline harassing him. It's their
paparazzi's crazy. I think it's interesting we're hearing an artist's perspective on the paparazzi and all of this over the years, because not a lot of artists are willing to talk about that. I don't even like this song. I almost would categorize as a rock song.
I get that.
The instrumentation.
I love the use of the guitar on that track. That's what
drums
stood out to me first.
The production on this track is like 10 out of 10. Like, I love the production in particular on this track. Definitely stood out here to me.
Yeah, this is such a vulnerable song, and one of the most vulnerable songs, I think, personally. And this was his single that he dropped, so this was like a perfect way to introduce the album to us. I think there's some silly lines in this one as well.
Oh, yep.
Like around 4 minutes and 20 seconds, he says, "You want info on me? Read a book on me." But yeah, I love the blend of rock and rap to the song. I think it makes it sound a lot more unique than other songs on this album. I rated it a 9 out of 10 because I really like the theme of paranoia, because I'm a very paranoid person myself. So it's who's there? So 9 out of 10 for me.
What?
So I rated Noid. What do you guys rate Noid?
Just in comparison, I love the production, but overall as a song, I actually gave it a 7 out of 10.
I can agree with a 7, honestly, yeah.
It's just not as strong as some of the
It's
other
a great
songs.
song.
Yeah.
There is not a single bad song in the album, in my opinion.
No.
There's just songs that are stronger than others.
Oh, yeah.
Which kind of leads into our next song here that we got here, track number 4, Darling I. What'd you think, Ma?
I think that's one of the most personal songs he ever dropped.
100% agree.
It was very good, but it was very just meaningful. The story, the secret behind, the secret meaning and everything.
Yeah, no, the message on this track, the messages behind it, stood out to me very much so. The production, I love the production on the song.
So
the beat, it gave me that 2000s sort of era kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Rap, hip hop, and everything what was going on. Tizo's singing on the track I thought was really good. Kind of just going back, the beat kind of had that 2000 sort of vibe. His singing kind of reminded me of, you guys know Pharrell Williams.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's friends with him.
Yeah.
He's probably inspired by him.
That's what I was gonna say. It's definitely felt like Pharrell inspired, and I even looked up to see maybe Pharrell had his hands on this or something, but he didn't. That just tells definitely had the influence from Pharrell, and you really can't go wrong with Pharrell. He's a fantastic producer. But this is definitely this might be my favorite track on the album overall, actually. I love this song. What about you?
This is definitely one of my favorite songs on the album. I can't place it in a certain spot yet, but it's so hard to with this album. This is, I also think, one of Tyler's best songs ever put out. The whole story, you can't find love in one person. No. It's you find something different in multiple people, and he kind of relates that with talking about different cars. I love this car because of this, and I love that car because of this, and I can't talk.
Stand by.
That hidden message of nobody can really give him what he needs or wants, but like he said, nobody can fulfill me like this music shit does. And he's basically saying, at the end of all of this, at least I have music and I have my passion, which is important to me. And also, there is a secret sample in the song.
Yeah.
Did you catch it?
You want to tell him? I caught it.
Towards the end of the song, at the end of it, they sample drop it like it's hot.
Yeah. That further explains the Pharrell influence. So that's a Pharrell produced song. He's on the track.
Yeah, it fits so well into the song, though. It took me a couple of listens, and I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
But this is such a great song. It just, the whole message, and it did also give me kind of a 2000s vibe to it. I just really like how the verses flow and the wording he uses and the message in general. It's important to have a passion, because what if nothing else works out for you, or you can't find something else? Like, you have to figure out what you're passionate about, and for him it's music, which is great.
Yeah.
And for us it's kind of music, because podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
I gave this a 10 out of 10. This is a great song. This is great. This is going to be one of his top hits, I can tell, for a long time.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I said 10 out of 10 as well.
Yeah.
I love this song. His rapping, Tizo's vocals, the overall feel. Again, just very 2000s inspired, which was a really great time for music. Very Pharrell inspired, one of my favorite producers in hip hop. Just so masterful with it. And again, yeah, getting into that sample with the Pharrell song, the Snoop Dogg song, Drop It Like It's Hot. Everything here just worked. It just worked perfectly. It's as perfect as a track can get for me. So 10 out of 10 for me. What about you, man?
I can also agree with the 10. Like you said,
Nice.
It's as perfect as a track can get. It has a little bit of everything, from the singing, the flow, the meaning, any secret meaning, the production, just everything came perfectly, like with a bow wrapped on top.
With that, going into track number 5, Hey Jane. What'd you think?
So another song that very meaningful to him. He has that like secret, telling his story about how he got this girl pregnant.
Yep.
And they didn't know what they were gonna do. In the track, I remember when I first listened to it, it was more like, wait, he has a daughter? Kind of like that Drake and Kendrick thing, be like, oh wait, he has a daughter. But then when you fully listen to it, and then if you read like the titles, you figure out that they ended up getting an abortion through the titles and the secret meanings and stuff like that. And I feel like that's a big topic to tackle.
It's very touchy. It's something that's just kind of risky to talk about, because it's a very touchy subject in this world that we live in.
Because everyone feels either one way or the other. There's
But I think that just stands as a testament to the storytelling on this song. That's another side of rap that I really enjoy.
Oh, I love a good storytelling song.
And that's exactly what this song, I think this is one of the better storytelling songs on the album. I just love the message. I love the way he told it. It just worked well for me. What about you?
I want to say, as a woman living, especially in these times right now, this is such an important song, because for some reason, women's health and women's rights continues to be such a polarizing topic for people. And to hear this song and hearing two perspectives in this song about just panicking and not knowing what to do, I think it's so important, because this shows like the woman's perspective of like, hey, like I was scared to tell you, I don't know what to do, like I'm scared. Then the guy's perspective being like, well, I'm scared too, but like I have to comfort you, you know. But the really important line of this whole song is, I'll support you no matter what decision you choose, which is exactly what that person is supposed to do in that role.
That's what
100%. Like when that happens, it's not supposed to just be such a polarizing decision. It's just, hey, it's your health. It's whatever you got to do. It happened.
You got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. I think it's also important to point out that this song came out before November 5th. So the song dropped in late October. So this was before all of this went down.
Yeah, we're reviewing this a little bit later, guys. This album did come out a little before Halloween.
About 3 weeks, right? Give or take?
About 3 weeks. Yeah, it's been number 1 for about 3 weeks, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm glad we waited to review this, though, honestly, because
gotta digest it.
Yeah, and this is one of those albums where you just have to keep listening to it over and over to catch all of these little things that happen.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of hidden meanings, a lot of just secret little like Easter eggs, if you want to call it that. Just see what he adds in.
Yeah.
Production-wise, lyric-wise, even like future-wise.
What a vulnerable song, though.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, this whole song, this is exactly how this kind of situation should go.
Yeah.
Or, like I would hope
I could picture it. Like, if I listen to the song and close my eyes, I can see very exactly like the woman panicking, the guy panicking, and them like just everything. He's very good at telling the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially having the song now with the story being out is so important because of what has happened in the U.S., unfortunately. I mean, a lot of women's rights have just basically been given up. So, I mean, it's important to know that there are people out there that would, in one way or another, advocate for this, that have the platform to almost, or to speak about it, because that's another thing in like trying times and when things aren't going great. A lot of times people will quote unquote protest or state their opinions through art, through drama, through I rated the song a 9 out of 10 because I can really listen to this anytime. Like if I want to really get into it, or if I just kind of want to just listen to the beat.
I actually said 8 out of 10. Again, the storytelling, I think, really sets this track apart from a lot of the other songs here. It's a very risky subject. It's tackled very well. It's very masterful with it story-wise. I think maybe just what kind of held me back was a little bit was maybe the production side of it wasn't as strong maybe in comparison to some of the other things here. I love the production on this album as a whole. So like when something is kind of lacking a little bit, it kind of stands out a bit more to me. But that's just kind of what held it back a little bit. But I still really love the song. 8 out of 10, in my personal opinion.
Honestly, I agree with the 8 out of 10. It's like it's a very solid song. It has a very good message, and it's a very good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not one of the strong. Like I said, there's no bad song on the album.
No,
but it's not one of the strongest songs.
Right.
But it's still really good.
Yeah. When you have an album that just has so many strong tracks,
that's the thing. Like I feel like you can arguably put them all in like the 8, 9, and 10s.
Yeah.
Depending. Yeah.
And if you're going to review it, you tend to get a little bit nitpicky with some of the rankings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe that's kind of like what the situation here, but that's just a testament for how great the album really is. With that, we can get into track number 6, I Killed You. What'd you think?
Another great track.
Mm-hmm.
I love that Donald Glover is secretly on that song. He hopped on it. I remember during, was it Coachella?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Tyler brought out Donald.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool because I'm a big fan of Donald. I'm a big fan of Tyler. And I've been waiting for them to collab.
Yeah, they're friends now.
And and I remember Tyler was like, I hated that guy. I don't know why, but I hated him. It was great to hear not one, spoiler alert, 2 songs Donald Glover's on. And just like it helps, his backing vocals help bring the production to a whole nother level and just brings it just like all together.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It's always great to see Gambino hop on a track. You know, it really stood out here. The production on this track, I did like the more laid-back vibe it had compared to some of the other songs here. But at the same time, it also had sort of like a spooky sort of vibe. And I love the switch up in the middle. Like the middle, that's where it really helped pick the track up a bit more for me. Cool as it was, but the laid back, I think the switch up and getting a little bit more of a upbeat sort of vibe, I think kind of helped with the track a little bit more for me, in my opinion, to like it a little bit more.
Yeah, I also really like the switch up towards the end of the song where the beat just changes. And right around that time where the build-up's happening, one of my favorite lines in the song is, "You the room, baby, they're the elephant." That's such a good line. This song also kind of gives me Call Me If You Get Lost vibes.
Yes, yeah. 100%.
Especially the instrumentation towards
the end. I wonder
if
he was working on it back then and he kind of put like that head. Finish, like went back and was like, I can finish this.
Yeah. I could hear the song on Call Me If You Get Lost if it was, or as a single. Towards the second half of this, it's very Call Me If You Get Lost. Like that, the instrumentation. This one I kind of had to listen to a couple of times to like digest it because the song kind of grew on me the more I listened to it. And that was also something that I know Tyler, the creator, mentioned he wanted people to do with his music, is just listen to it over and over and pick up little things. And
a lot of like I said earlier, a lot of Easter egg kind of. Yeah. Each time you listen, you kind of have a different experience.
Yeah, it's such an important song to have on this album. For me, it's not one of the songs that I'm going to pick out of the rest of them to really listen to. I thought the song was a little short. It's, how long is the song? It's not that long.
It's one of the shorter tracks on the album, definitely.
Yeah. I really feel like the song could have had at least another verse or something to it. But, I mean, I do still really like the song. Just for me, I rated it like a 6.5 out of 10 because it's a little short and it has some really powerful lyrics in there. To me, I feel like I could hear more with this song.
It's exactly 2 minutes and 48 seconds. So it's one of the few tracks on this album that's below 3 minutes.
I feel like that's why I rated it a little bit lower than the rest. But overall, it's really hard for me to find a song, not just on this album, but in general, that I really dislike. It's hard for me to rate a song lower than like a 5 or a 6. So rating it a 6.5 out of 10 is kind of like scary for me. So I'm like, but I like the song. But reviewing these albums and these songs, it's important to pick out. Yeah, as much as you want to reflect on the things you really liked, like the things that you didn't like as much are also important to point out. So the song, not really for me, but it's still great.
You know, I can agree with that. Like getting into it, lengths of songs, you know, I don't really mind if like it's a shorter song or if it's a really longer song. Just as long as you capitalize on the time that you're using with a track. And I think with some of the shorter songs on here, he does capitalize that. I think maybe this one, not quite as much. Like I said, the switch up, like toward the end, it really picked up for me. Actually kind of saved. I won't say saved because it makes it sounds like I didn't like the track. I did like the track. I just think it picked up a bit more with that switch at the end. I was originally going to say it maybe around like 6 out of 10, but with the switch at the end, the switch I really liked. Maybe if he continued with that a little bit more for another minute or so, I think I would have liked the track a bit more, but just with as it is, I give it a 7 out of 10 personally. How about you?
So I could go, I think, like a 7.5 because I do agree with length playing a part, but I also feel like it's important to mention that it's also kind of like a continuation of the last song.
Yeah.
How it goes, hey Jane, and then I killed you, and then that talking about what happened, kind of like, because the story ends and you're kind of like, oh wait, he has a daughter, or they got this girl, and then the next song is called I Killed You.
They definitely go hand in hand, which I think it does also help with this track a bit more as itself. That's just what I thought personally. But it's still a good track. But with that, getting into the next track, number 7, this is the halfway point. Judge Judy, what we think?
So again, this was the other song that Donald Glover makes an appearance on in the backing vocals. That's why he's not really credited as like a feature, because he's not. Yeah. He's on it, but he's more of just, again, kind of like the production value.
Oh yeah.
I like that. Again, this is kind of, you can look at this as like the third song, as like another trilogy that you can take out in the album, kind of. I feel like it's the last part of Hey Jane, I Killed You, and Judge Judy. I feel like the three of them kind of go in together.
Right.
I like the song, for the most part, I liked it, but it wasn't one of my favorites, I guess.
That's kind of where I was standing with this track as well. Again, it was really nice to hear Gambino on the song. I even think the backup vocals from him stood out a little bit more here in comparison to I Killed You. Definitely had more of a presence on this track, which I think was cool. There are elements of the beat that I really loved, but as a whole, I didn't love this beat. The vocals weren't too bad. Some of the lyrics here, I think Tyler could have been a little bit stronger. It was a bit graphic, but that was kind of the point of the song.
Yeah.
But still overall, nice storytelling with this track. Definitely goes hand in hand with Hey Jane, I Killed You. But again, I just think it's one of the weaker songs. There are things here that I think I really love, but just as a whole, putting it together, it didn't quite work as well for me. Still, not a bad track. What did you think?
This is probably one of my favorites on the album because at first, okay, listen.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, he's making faces.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Tyler said himself that this is one of his favorites as well.
Oh yeah, I think I heard that too. Yeah. He tweeted a whole bunch of notes about this album,
like his thoughts, his inner thoughts of it.
I like that he did that too, because as a Virgo moon, I like to see how other Virgo moons think, and just the details that they put into everything is just really cool. The first couple of times that I listened to it, I didn't like it as much. I was just kind of like it's okay. But the more I listened to it, the more it just got stuck in my head, and I just kept wanting to listen to it. The instrumentation has such a nostalgic vibe to me. It just sounds so relaxed, and it's a nice little break from the more hypey songs on the album for me.
It has an Igor kind of vibe.
It does,
a little bit.
Sick, yeah.
I also love the callback to Dogtooth in the song.
Yeah.
I was really excited to hear that. It almost kind of gives me a lo-fi vibe too with how it was produced. It just sounds a little bit more chill. I really like the lyric also. I like to pick out specific lyrics that really stick with me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the moments I could grab before I left really stuck out to me. Messing around with somebody, but still having moments with them that you can take the rest of your life and hold on to. Those little memories that you have with random people or certain people, they just kind of stick with you with the rest of your life, and they kind of shape you as a person almost, or give you something to reflect on. And that's kind of what life's about, especially with the whole vibe of this album being stories of being a young adult and growing up and stuff like that. I think that's why the song sounds so nostalgic to me too. Right. It's just because this whole album is almost like a reflection on how it is being a young adult. But yeah, I rated the song a 9 out of 10 because I love the song now. I think it's great.
Again, not a bad song. Really good elements here that I loved. But just as a whole, I think this is one of the weaker songs. Might actually be the weakest song. Probably my least favorite song on the album.
Oh, it's not the weakest. What do you mean?
I could tell you what I don't know. I might have a hot take when we get to the weakest song, in my opinion, but
it's one of the weaker songs. I'll say that.
All right,
just for me.
I guess we accept opinions. So
I say 6 out of 10.
Really?
That's me personally. Maybe.
That's okay.
See, because I was thinking 7. I was thinking a 7.
I can maybe get to a 7. I'm gonna stick with 6. I'm sorry.
6.5.
6.5.
6.4.
6.
6.6.
I'm standing at 6.
Just 6.
Fine.
They're scared of the 6, man.
You want to review a Drake album?
No, you're not. No.
But you said 7 out of 10.
I think it's a 7. Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
We accept opinions.
7, 8, 9, or 6, 7, and 6, 7, 9.
6, 7, 9.
10.
Like the Fetty Wap song.
Y'all remember Fetty Wap out there?
Man.
Moving on.
Yes. Yep.
Track number 8.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Here we go. I think we were waiting on this track.
Oh yeah.
Number 8, Sticky.
Sticky.
I'm gonna let my boy get into it, and he'll explain why.
Oh, you see, I love Lil Wayne. And Tyler worked super well with Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne was on Flower Boy. Lil Wayne was on Call Me If You Get Lost. And Lil Wayne was on... What's that one with Kanye? Smart. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was happy to see that he's on the track.
Mm-hmm.
I will say he's on there for a couple seconds. But, it's... Basically, I think Tyler had a vision. He's like, I want everybody to spit like a 20-second verse each. And then he was going to put it together. So the other artists on the song are Sexy Red and Glorilla.
Yeah.
I like both of them. They're kind of, they have some good songs, some bad songs. I like Glorilla more than Sexy Red, but Sexy Red's pretty good, depending on
the two of them are like newer in comparison
That's
to Tyler and Lil Wayne. So I think there's definitely more room for them to grow as rappers.
So I don't know if you knew this. Sexy Red, her dream collab was actually Tyler, the Creator.
I
did not know that.
And yeah, she ended up sending the vocals to Tyler, and she had no idea what the song was going to be, but she's like, yeah, Tyler has my vocals. So then Tyler took Sexy Red's vocals, and then Tyler took Lil Wayne's vocals, and then there was an extra Tyler verse over where Glorilla was,
Mm-hmm.
and then afterwards he got Glorilla in the studio, so Tyler and Glorilla actually worked together in the studio for that like last feature.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that's how the song actually came together, was he kind of like put everything together in a bow.
I like that he took newer artists.
He combined old school, new school with that one,
Yeah.
I feel.
I like that Tyler can find these artists, really find a vision
Yeah,
for them. Like
he's-
with Kali.
Yeah, he's really good at taking an artist that people might have an opinion, a negative opinion, and make it be like, wow, this person actually works really well. He's good at finding what sound or what production or whatever works with this artist. For example, it comes to mind, I'm not the biggest NBA Youngboy fan, but I like the song What's Your Name with him and Ty Dolla. Like, Tyler wrapped that up in a nice little neat bow.
For me, I really like this track. I love these big rap tracks when you get just like a bunch of rappers on one song and they just start spitting, going back and forth with one another. It's really cool just to see that in the rap community. I don't think anyone here in particular spit a bad verse.
No.
You definitely can tell, Wayne's definitely was the strongest. I think everyone here used their time well, but I think, he's been in the game for over 20 years, like he knows what he's
been
doing
working since he was like 11.
Yeah.
So like,
but yeah, no, it's not a surprise he has the strongest verse. Tyler gets the most time, obviously.
it's his song.
It's his song. And he's just spitting. But I really do like Glorilla. I do think she's definitely growing on me really fast as a rapper. I think she's maturing a bit more. She's starting to feel like a genuine rapper. Sometimes you get like these new rappers in the game, and you wonder, are you just here for the clout, or are you generally gonna like rap and just spit?
Yeah, because some come and go. Like they'll be hot for a minute, and then they just dip.
They fizzle out. But I think she's definitely making a point of sticking around. She actually dropped an album herself, and I didn't think that was too bad.
She's pretty good.
Yeah, no, she's definitely growing. So I liked her verse.
Coming, or like
she's got nominations too.
Yeah,
she's got a couple as well. So shout out to you, Glorilla.
Yeah, and you glow, Glorilla.
And I actually didn't think Sexy Red's verse was too bad either. I think it's the weakest of the four.
Yeah,
but I still think she did well with the time that she was given.
I do think playing a part where she was like, okay, this is my dream collab. I gotta lock in type of thing. Like,
yeah,
she's like, I have a mission, I'm gonna follow that.
she knew what she was doing. She knew what the mission was, and she accomplished that.
Yeah.
So I think good on her for that.
It's a top 10 hit right now, as of right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one of those songs that's growing more like on streaming as well. It's like this is definitely.
It wasn't top 10 at first, and now it's going up.
It's up. This is definitely going to turn out to be a big hit in the long run, I think.
Yeah.
But what did you think?
This is another one of those songs that really had to grow on me the more I listened to it, because the first week, 2 weeks this album came out, everybody was into Sticky. Everybody loved Sticky. And I wasn't really on the Sticky train yet. I was more into like Ratata and Darling I and stuff. And I was like, I don't really get the hype with Sticky. But as I keep listening to it, I'm like, okay, I really like Sticky.
It's another,
it's so fun.
Like you said earlier, it's like another good like adrenaline song. I feel, you know, like it gets the blood, like you're pumped to hear it.
Yeah, I remember texting you the morning it dropped, and I was like, have you listened yet? And you were like, no, but I'm really mad because I found out about a secret feature.
Because when the album dropped, all the features were hidden.
Yeah.
And then, like, the second the album dropped, I got, like, a notification. It was like, oh, Lil Wayne's on the... I'm like, come on, I want to listen. Because I like the surprise. That's one of the best parts of not knowing the features. The whole surprise factor in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know you like Lil Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
One of the notes I wrote was, Lil Wayne's verse was good.
And you didn't think it was going to be on the album first, right?
No.
I wasn't looking that way.
Because remember he said features. What's up with that, Tyler? How about
you got a bunch of features?
Yeah. If I pull up that album, there are features.
I love the little TikTok dance that's trending with this song where they like physically grab a mop and like mop to the beat. Like I 100% will do that when we see the song live.
Even if it was a solo Tyler song, I think it would be a top tier song. Like I just had to grab a mop. Like,
you gotta watch the language on here.
No, we don't. I can do things now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
What?
We have sound effects. We'll get into that.
Oh, okay.
We can swear, but then I just put like a duck quack over the swear word. So that way it doesn't have to be explicit and it can be PG-13, I guess. But
kids listening.
Yeah, there's kids out there. Kids can listen to it. It's fine. I don't know. Should they listen?
I don't know about this album.
That comes from the Post Malone's album.
Post Malone, yeah. That's cool. I don't know about this one particularly. The podcast overall, I would.
Yeah, but yeah, I really love Glorilla's voice on this. Like, I could listen to her rap like all day. Like, I just love how her voice sounds.
She has the voice of a rapper. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're right. Yeah, she does. And I'm very excited to watch the Grammys, and I really hope she wins something because you can tell she really puts in the work. And I'm really excited to hear her. Like, I haven't listened to her album yet. I'm excited to listen to it. I like how well the song was crafted, like you said, with the multiple features and the multiple verses. Like, it's just a fun song. Yeah. I love fun songs. But because it had to grow on me a little bit, and even though it did, there are still songs that I would pick over this. I gave it a 7 out of 10 because it's a really fun song. But if I'm not listening to the album back to back, if I'm just picking songs, I probably wouldn't pick this one. Unless I was really in a fun mood, or if I was making a playlist for like a get-together or a fun party, I would probably put the song on there. But other than that, I give it like a 7 out of 10.
I said 8 out of 10. You know, again, I think everyone here was pretty strong. Wayne in particular stood out to me. I think the beat was good. I think what held it back, again, I do wish everyone had a little bit more time. You know, like when you have big tracks like this, you do want to give everybody like a fair chance to show what they can do rap-wise. And I just think shortening the verses a little bit kind of hurt the track for me personally. I thought, you know, everyone did well with this track. The production was cool. So for me, it was 8 out of 10.
For me, a little bit of a bias, but I give it a 9. But I also, like I said, I really like Tyler and Lil Wayne working together in general.
They're a good duo.
Add that fact of Tyler being really well at taking artists that not everyone listens to necessarily. Like Glorilla's kind of more on the come up, kind of.
Yeah.
Like she's known, but she's not fully there yet. Sexy Red's kind of known nowadays because like her whole Drake cosign and all that.
That's another thing. She had a bit of a head start with that.
Yeah.
Glorilla, I
feel like she does it more of herself, where Sexy Red kind of came with a little bit of buzz beforehand. Like people knew who she was beforehand. Because you see, I really like Sticky and then Take Your Mask Off. The transition is really good.
Yeah.
So those are two songs that I really like to play back to back.
I get you.
And I'm a big fan of both Sticky and Take Your Mask Off, like by themselves. So that's why I think it's higher up for me, because I, like you were saying about, you might not go out and play it. That's one of my songs. Let's say I'm going for a drive, queue up random stuff. I'll be like, oh, I'll queue up Sticky.
But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and transition into track number 9. Take Your Mask Off. What'd you think?
I love Take Your Mask Off. Like I said just a couple seconds ago, it was one of my favorite songs on the album. It goes really good with Sticky with the transitioning. And I just feel like it has very important message about just like being yourself and not being afraid to be yourself, and how like the whole concept of the album, he wears a mask of his own face. And I like to think by the time of this album, that's when he takes the mask off and he's truly himself, not hiding behind a mask in quotes or, stuff like that.
I definitely agree. The storytelling, again, on this track was really strong. One of the stronger storytelling-wise when it came to rap here. I love the message. And there's a fine line in between, like spitting a message to somebody and just beating them over the head with it. Because you can have a message that could definitely be agreed with, but when you just beat people over the head with it, it doesn't come across as well. But I don't think that's the case here. I think he's just spitting straight facts, and it's coming through very loudly, very clearly, in a way that it makes you want to take a look at the message, want to take a look at yourself and taking the mask off for yourself and see yourself for who you are, the way that he's doing it for himself. So that works really well here. I really love this track.
Yeah, I really love, if you watch clips of him performing this live, I really love that during the song he actually takes off his mask that he's wearing.
Yeah.
See, I called it.
I remember talking about it and I was like, I really hope he does that.
Yeah, like it just,
it fits.
Like I said, it just works out really well. And it makes sense, despite the name obviously being Take the Mask Off, just like the story and how he presents himself. And I've seen clips of him wearing the mask, so it's only right that it's like, oh, take your mask off. Takes the mask off and stuff.
And I like that he does it later in the song. Like he keeps like acting like he's about to.
Yeah, he has got that build up.
Even though it's a mask of himself, it's still an important part and message of the whole album.
Because that's the thing. Even though it's a mask of himself, he's still quote unquote hiding, but not hiding type of thing.
Oh yeah, I feel that. And this song is such a great song, and it's such a great anthem to being true to yourself and not wanting to hide behind a mask. The song's great to advocate being authentic. This is the song, we talked about this earlier, this is the song where he drops the line, "You ain't a thug, you was in drama club, you was an actor." This is where he mentions his friend again. This was one of my top 3 for a while. What? There's no ruh-roh.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, like I love this song. I love how it sounds like there's a choir. I like that the song sounds a little different compared to what we've already heard. I feel like the second half of the song gets into like a different vibe almost. You Take Your Mask Off because you're getting towards the end of the album. And I still really like the song though compared to the thoughts that I've accrued after picking my top 3 originally, but I give it an 8 out of 10. It's a great standalone song and it's a great song to listen to all together.
I actually also give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the track, the storytelling of it. Going hand in hand, just back to back. I think it worked really well here. I love the message. I love the production. There's a fine line in between beating the message over the head for somebody and just spitting it to him very clearly, very loudly. And I think he expresses it very well. Tyler really knows how to tell a story. Really knows how to get a message across, and it works really well here. So for me, I gave it 8 out of 10.
I give it a 9 because I put it with Sticky, and I gave Sticky a 9. So I feel like I kind of put the two together, both at 9.
I think that's kind of where I'm coming from too, because I gave Sticky an 8.
Because that's it. The two back to back is perfect, and they're just both top tier songs in my opinion from the album.
With that, we can go ahead and get into the next track, number 10, Tomorrow. What do we think?
So this one, it's not my favorite. It's not. It's like. It's a good storytelling song. It's about how his mother's kind of like, I want a grandchild, and then how he feels about people wanting him to have children and kind of quote unquote move on with his life type of situation. Grow up in a sense, even though he's older now, but like it comes with all those responsibilities and stuff like that he's talking about in the song. Like everybody's going to be at different stages of their lives. And that's kind of what he's talking about.
Yeah. From a production side, I really loved the guitar in the beginning. I thought that was just straight fire. There's some good storytelling here, but the production as a whole, aside from the guitar, I didn't love. And I think, again, from the storytelling aspect, I think it's cool, but I think it's done better, like particularly on the track right before Take Your Mask Off, as well as on some other tracks here, like Hey Jane, I Killed You. I just think this is done better in other places.
Yeah.
And it just feels a little weaker in comparison. combined with the production that I didn't quite love, again, aside from the guitar in the beginning, which was really cool. This is definitely not a terrible track or anything, but definitely one of the weaker songs here. Might be the weakest. Going back, I kind of go back and forth between that and Judge Judy, but this is definitely on the weaker side, I'll say.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but I feel like it's still important.
Yeah,
just to throw in that little, like, you're getting older and I want a grandchild, like, when's that gonna happen? And then Tyler's, like, reflecting on how he feels about it, and he's, like, comparing himself to others and, like, where people are in their lives that are around the same age as him. And I mean, like, we do that, I do that, so I understand the message. Yeah, I kind of thought the song almost had more of, like, an acoustic vibe to it, like, it was almost like singer-songwriter kind of. It's a really quick one. It's only like 3 minutes. Compared to the rest of the album, it's a pretty quick song too. So I like that it's a quick little like interlude between the last few like hits we're gonna hear and the end of the album. And it's like a little breather that still has an important message. But overall, it's not gonna be one that I pick out of the rest of the album. So it's gonna be like a 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I agree. I actually gave it a 6 out of 10 as well. Like you said, it's not something I particularly would turn to as much. Everything else, a lot of the other stuff here works so well. So when you hear something that doesn't work quite as well, it stands out to you a bit more. So I just think, production-wise, storytelling-wise, the flow and everything, it just didn't quite come together as well as some other tracks. So I would give this a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with the 6 out of 10. It's not a bad song by any means, but it's more a weaker song on the album. But again, it's not bad necessarily. It's just there are better songs on the album.
Right. I think that's probably about as negative as it's going to get here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next track. Track number 11, Thought I Was Dead. What y'all think?
I Thought I Was Dead. Again, that was another song that he played like snippets of before the album came out.
Yeah.
You sent me a snippet of Tyler's verse, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a very good, straightforward rap song in that sense. He's spitting. You know what I mean? It's pretty straightforward in that sense. He's going off. It has Schoolboy Q in it, which is a great artist. I personally love Schoolboy Q. On the vinyl version, Playboy Cardi was on that version. That was an interesting version too, because Tyler had that hit with Playboy Cardi back on Igor Earthquake. Yeah. So I thought Tyler and Cardi work well together, but it's kind of up in the air. If people like Cardi, they're going to say the Cardi version's better. If people like Schoolboy Q, they're going to say the Schoolboy Q version's better.
They're two very different rappers.
They're extremely, yeah.
Definitely different sides.
Personally, I like both sides of the coin. Both versions are good. Do I prefer the Schoolboy Q version? Yeah, but it's also the version that was released and all that. If you want to listen to the Playboy Cardi version, you have to kind of jump through hoops or have your hands on the original CD or the vinyl.
Right. You got to go digging more, which I don't really particularly care for. A lot that's been happening these days. Like, just give me the music, y'all.
You could have put it like a part 2 or a bonus or...
Right.
But I also, knowing Playboy Cardi, he didn't clear it in time or something.
Yeah, that's a trend. That's definitely a trend. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite tracks on the album. Like you said, I love when you got a good beat and you got rappers just going straight up with it, just straight spitting, straight fire. Tyler was in top form here. This might be my favorite, not my favorite song, but like I felt like he was in top form here as a rapper. Like he was definitely spitting. Yeah. You get Schoolboy Q. Schoolboy Q, very underrated rapper, really great lyricist. He's got some great music out there himself. Very strong. And I think that shows here as well. He definitely came through. He slid through, did his thing. Great verse. Really much all I've had to say, just the production was just so driven as well. Like it definitely brought out, I think, the best in both of them here. When you got a beat, sometimes you hear that beat and it just has you going. And I think that definitely got Tyler and Schoolboy going. So I really love both of them. I love this track.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites right now. That's just like, it's stuck in my head all the time. I really like with music that Tyler puts out, it's not just a rap song. Like there are instruments in this, like there's like brass instruments, there's like, it's a whole production. Every song is like, there's so many details in every like second. And I really like
Tyler himself puts those pieces together too to make it even.
Did you see the clips of him with the people playing the instruments? And he's like,
and he's like, yes, this is why I like. This is kind of how I made the songs. I want people to do stuff like this. And
it's very cool. Yeah, he just told the people playing the instruments basically, like, this is how I want it to sound, and they just were able to figure out, like, the keys and everything that fit.
Each instrument had its own key and everything.
It was so cool. I love that, like, bwah, bwah. It reminds me of, like, in a video game when you lose or the bad guy shows up. You know what I mean? I really like the callback to Magic Wand in the song too. There's the line, I'm trying to magic wand, I'm trying to poof. So, and also he's saying, I don't want to be found. There's a line in Magic Wand, it says, I want to be found. The full verse is, I want to be found in the backseat of your car. But I liked the contrast between those two and the callback with the previous line that he said. I also like how when he doing the song live, he speaks some of the words kind of like slam poetry, where he's like, 5 a.m, I be hating on shit. And I love that the song's trending on TikTok right now and people are recreating like the dance and everything. Can you guess my favorite line in the song?
I'm so silly.
Yeah. I love that the song goes so hard, but there are still silly lyrics in it. So my favorite line is, haha, I'm silly. Yes. This is such a great song. It's such great production.
Like, when he himself punches with his voice, the beat and the instruments just punch back, and it just like makes everything hit so much harder.
It's so good. I did some of my like notes. I've done them on and off since the album came out. So at the time, I had rated it an 8.5 out of 10, but I'm bumping it up to a 9 out of 10 because it's been stuck in my head so much lately. It's such a great song.
Nice. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. 9 out of 10 here. Everyone here was in top form, rap wise. The production was just, again, so driven. I love the different sounds here. It was just fantastic. Just personally, 9 out of 10.
I can also agree with the 9 out of 10, honestly. Like I said, or like you guys said, it's one of your favorite songs from the album. I can agree with that. He just came to play. The features came to play, whatever version you like. It's just like they all come together, and the production's just, like I said earlier, collapse perfectly with his vocals. So like when he wants to get louder, the beat gets louder. He wants to get quieter, it gets quiet, and then bam, goes right back in. And it's just like a huge punch in the best way possible.
And with that, going on to track number 12, we're getting close to the end here, guys. Like Him. What'd you think?
So with Like Him, I like that track for the most part.
I will just say real fast, this had one of my favorite beats on the album. The production here I thought was fantastic. The rapping was really good. I can kind of see maybe if you might be a little bit hesitant. I'm not sure what you're thinking quite yet. I've really enjoyed this track. I thought he did a really good job here rap wise. The flow was really nice. Again, I love the beat here. The beat here I thought was just so great.
Yeah, I really like the message in this of just, you know, if you don't have like a parent figure in your life, these people are always like, oh, you look just like them, you act just like them, you talk just like them, but they're not in your life. So you're just kind of like, okay, thanks, I guess. You all know this person and apparently I'm just like them, but I have no idea who this person is, or I don't know, they're not in my life. So I don't know why you're saying this to me. I also like that you can hear like, it almost sounds like a child singing. And that's supposed to be Tyler when he was young. It was supposed to be him when he was like a kid. I just love the line, "Mama, I'm chasing a ghost."
Yeah,
that gets stuck in my head so much.
Right.
This song has a big twist at the end of it, where his mom cuts in and she's explaining. She's like, "I'm so sorry, but I'm the reason he wasn't in your life." And he's like, "You're telling me this now when I'm like in my 30s?" This is also the longest song on the album. The song is 4 minutes and 38 seconds, but it feels so much quicker than that because it just flows so well.
It does.
Because you're listening to the whole story, and then by the time it's over, you're like, wow.
And this is a really heavy song.
Yeah, and back to like, it's another one of the most personal songs of the album. Just like talking about like the songs earlier on, this is probably another one where it's like very personal, when he looks back in like years from now, he'll be like, that song means more.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I like the production too. Yeah,
The beat here was really great.
There's Tyler, he's a great rapper, musician, but like his production, in my opinion, he doesn't really miss with his production. Like he can find ways to make it work no matter what. And that's why I say there's not a single bad song on the album, because he can make things work. Give him the puzzle pieces, he can make it work.
The production was my favorite thing about this album. So just to give a quick like overall view of it, this particular track, me personally, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it.
I gave this song a 9 out of 10. It's not going to be one of my favorites on the album, but I recognize like how meaningful the song is and how much work went into it. it still gets stuck in my head all the time, especially the twist towards the end of the song where it's like da 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 da, and it goes into this beat. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, Baby Keem. That's what.
Yeah.
Baby Keem only had one ad lib on the whole album, and Tyler placed it very, very strategically. So
that was cool.
I thought that was. I give it an 8. I do think it's a really great song, but like it's in the grand scale of like between every song on the album, I'd give that one an 8.
All right, with that, second to last song on the album, number 13, Balloon, with Doechii.
I love this transition. This is my favorite transition in the whole album. It's so fun.
You want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first because you drop one of the most serious, like heavy hitting songs on the album.
Yeah, the silliest song.
Do. I can understand why people don't like this song, but like, why do you hate fun? It's a fun song. It's so good. Doechii sounds so great on this. Like they sound so great together. This actually, I saw a TikTok of this and I sent it to James. And this song samples like it does sample "Don't Stop" and it samples it's like a Japanese song I think. It was a girl on the piano playing like the tune, so he like sampled it or something like that. Well, I love Doechii's verse in this. And she's like, "I'll spray your whole block with LaFleur." Like, and since it's such a silly song and it's dropped right after it's such a hard-hitting song, I think it's important to mention it's the shortest song on the album. It's 2 minutes and 34 seconds, so it follows the longest song on the album. So if people kind of don't love it, it's fine because it's the shortest song on the album. So get over it. It'll end soon, unfortunately. My favorite line on the song is, "You could be a millionaire and still be a bum." But I love this song. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's a solid song. It's not one of the best, but it's not one of the worst. So it's sitting right in that middle range for me.
When I first heard this song, by the end of it, I was like, this is going to be a song that people either love or hate.
Yeah.
And I can see both sides of it.
Oh, yeah.
Me personally, I'm on the side of love. Because this might be... It definitely has my favorite beat on the album, I'll say. The sample here, it works so perfectly. Doechii, I gotta say, I haven't listened to too much of her solo work, but as a feature here, I think she was personally my favorite feature. I loved her flow, and particularly on here, the build-up, the intensity on her verse. She was just going for it. She was really spitting here. I absolutely loved that. Tyler was great. I just love this track. Me personally, I'm on the side of love. This song is just, it's okay to get silly. It's okay to have a little fun with it. I don't think there was a better place to place this on the album. Yeah. So I think right there it was the best spot for it. So I thought it worked really well.
So I do enjoy the song. I do. Did you give it a rating?
Not yet. I was going to wait for you.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I do enjoy the song. I will say the one thing first listen, I wasn't a fan. I will say that because I noticed there was the lyric, and this is definitely gonna get censored. She goes, "I air this bitch out like a," and just hearing, I swear, because I was listening to this at work, and I'm just like looking at a computer monitor. I work at a bank, and all I hear, just hearing that, it caught me so off guard. I was like, what did she just say? I remember I rewound it. I'm like, oh, she did just say that.
So yeah, see, it's stuff like that.
But it's still like, it is a silly track.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's sample like that "Don't Stop, give it.
Yeah. And the fact that it follows "Like Him" makes it so much funnier.
Yes.
It had to be intentional.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And just like, there was a bunch of like fun lyrics, like when she was explaining how that it was like, if she's gay, then they're gay, and then how that they're gonna basically, her and Tyler are gonna steal your girl from you or something like that. It's just like, that's just funny, because like, I just picture, like, let's say you're at like a meet and greet or someone, the two of them could do it probably. They could just be like, hey. But I agree with the a 7 rating for it. It's not the best song, but it's not. Yeah. I also think it's I enjoy the track personally, and I agree with James in the sense where it was like, either you love it or you hate it.
Yeah, just a personal ranking for me, I'm a little higher than you guys.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I gave this a 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
I love this song. I just love the comedy of it. Again, Doechii she really surprised me. I know who she is, obviously. I heard some of her songs. I just haven't heard enough. for me to gain like a personal opinion on her, but like this makes me want to go and listen to her stuff. This makes me want to potentially be a fan because I thought she just made a fantastic impression.
She did snap.
I love this track. This is one of my favorites. It's definitely gonna be in my top 3. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's gonna be in my top 3. 10 out of 10 for me. All right, then we can go ahead and wrap this up with the final track. I hope you find your way home. What do we think of the end?
It's a beautiful ending, honestly. I just feel like, because again, I know there's like I keep saying this about a bunch of songs. It's another more personal, more deep song, and I just feel like I love how it kind of just pulls and brings everything to an end, and just like it just makes it flow perfectly. This album is very much an album, and what I mean by that is, yeah, there are songs where you can listen to and take apart and be like, hey, I'm going to listen to this while I'm at the gym, or I'm going to go for a drive, listen to this. But it is truly an album that you listen to front to back, and everything just flows really good. Everything transitions perfectly. He self-produced the whole thing.
Yep.
He chose the album order of like what song plays when. And the features, he was very particular with who was on it, where they were on it. He clearly had a vision for this album, and I am very, very glad that it is selling so well, because I remember when I heard the first trailer, because again, I've been a fan of him since like 2017 or so, 2016, for a few years now.
Yeah.
And like seeing him, I remember hearing that trailer and I just had a feeling, I'm like, okay, this is going to be some of his best work yet. The numbers don't lie. He's just, not only is it good for the fans, the general public, like people are listening to it and they are loving it. And that's what I'm happy to see, because Tyler definitely deserves his roses at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely agree. Really strong way to end the album. His rapping and the laid back beat, really the way that the message overall comes around at the end, like it just wraps up the album very nicely. But like you were saying, like you can definitely take tracks out of here that like you can listen to on their own. I can definitely do that, but this is definitely meant to be listened to as a whole. Like you said, there are just some albums that are clearly just, oh yeah, this is a single, this is a single. And there are some albums that, like, yeah, you got to go through and you got to listen to it to fully understand what.
There's a lot of hidden meanings throughout this album that you do not hear first, second, or even like the 10th time listening. You just keep listening and then different things jump out. But
just me as a whole, I thought this was a really great way to end the album. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. This was the perfect way to end an album. I also want to say I feel like a lot of artists do this, but I really love when they put out an album and they're like, no, you have to listen to it like 1 through 12. Like you can't just like pick random songs because you're not going to understand the full message. And this is one of those albums. I feel like this is also one of the easiest songs to sing along to, because that whole little like when they go, I hope you'll find your way home, they're just going like do, re, mi, fa, and they're just going through that. So it's so easy to just harmonize with them or whatever if you're in a singing mood. And I really like one of the clips of his mom where she just says, do your thing, just keep shining, which is really sweet. And it's a nice conclusive message to the end of the album. But at the same time, it still has the perfect loop back to track 1.
Yep.
At the end.
The outro with the chanting of Chromakopia. And that's how it started in the first track, and that's how it ends in the last track.
You could picture it either as he's looping back to the first track, or he's kind of like marching on to the next project or something like that in that sense. The rating I initially gave this, I don't agree with anymore. I rated it a little lower than I would now after I've listened to it through a lot more. I give the ending, I give it an 8 out of 10 because it's a perfect way to end it. It's not like a huge banger, but it's once you've listened through and get to the song, you feel like you've understood and gotten the full picture at this point.
It's kind of like that breath of air after going underwater.
Yeah. Right. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's perfect.
No, I 100% agree with that ranking. I gave the first track an 8 out of 10, and I think the way that it wraps around at the end, I think it's just equally as strong, so I gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. Really great way to end the album.
I can also agree with an 8 out of 10. It's just like I said before, it's a very solid ending to the album, and it just, the way it flows from front to end, and it just feels like you went on like this, it's an hour-long journey, and not just, oh, I'm listening to music, or oh, hey, I'm just going to put this on and I'm doing whatever. It's like there's an actual story. There's a bunch of stories hidden in, and you got to listen to it and kind of find and kind of make your own stories out of the songs at the end of the day.
I love doing that with music.
Yeah. Top 3 real quick.
I don't want to go first.
I'll go first.
Oh.
Top 3, like I said, they're probably the most like 10 out of 10s I've ever given for an album so far when it comes to our reviews. So it was kind of hard picking out a top 3, but I feel pretty good about Darling I. That's definitely my favorite track. Balloon. I love Balloon. And Ratata. That's my personal top 3. That could easily switch because, again, there are a lot of other songs like Thought I Was Dead, Sticky, that definitely could get up there. But for me, Ratata, Darling I, and Balloon. That's my personal top 3.
I feel like my top 3 are pretty similar still to when the album first came out, but it's so hard to pick just a top 3 alone. But in no particular order, I would probably say Ratata, Darling I, and Take Your Mask Off. But honorable mentions to Judge Judy and Thought I Was Dead.
All right, what you thinking?
So it is very hard to narrow it down. So the way I'm basing this off of, say I'm going to work or whatever, I'm basing off of the songs that I'm like, I'm going to cue these up on my way to work.
Yeah.
I'll keep listening to. So I'll definitely, in no order, Ratata, Sticky, and Take Your Mask Off. But like the first 3 songs of the whole album, though, I feel like you got to listen to those 3 back to back to back. They're not my favorite, but I feel like Ratata is my favorite. But at the same time, if you're going to listen to Ratata, you should listen to, say, Chroma and Noid between them. And obviously, I do like Thought I Was Dead. That's an honorable mention. And I also wanted to shout out the song that was only on the vinyl. I think it was called Mother.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't listen to it too many times, but I do remember enjoying it. It was another good track. It went with like the flow of the album, the overall kind of theme. I remember it was more about like his mother's point of view kind of thing.
Overall ranking of the album, what do you think? 10 out of 10? Where would you place it sort of in his discography? It's still fresh, so that could always change in the future, but just right now, where are you sitting at? What are you thinking?
It's hard to say this, but I do think it's my favorite project of his.
Mm-hmm.
But it could change in the sense of like maybe a year from now. I'm like, oh no, because like I always loved Wolf. Wolf was up there for me. Flower Boy was always up there for me.
Yeah.
And Call Me When You Get Lost was one of my favorite projects by any artist ever. Mm-hmm. But I do think Chromakopia, first listen, I do definitely think it's my album of the year. I don't think I've listened to pretty much just about any big hip hop drop from this year, 2024.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, this by far was my favorite experience. I haven't I listened to it 10 times in like 4 days or something like that.
Yeah.
It's very easy to listen to go back to.
Like, I don't think there was any other album this year. There was a lot of great albums this year, but I don't think any album touched me like that in the sense where I went back that many times.
Right.
And was like borderline dissecting them instead of just like putting them on or whatever.
Yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. Me personally, Flower Boy has always been a personal favorite of mine from Tyler for a while now. I do think he's had some stronger albums going forward from that, but I do think it was my personal favorite. I do think here, I think this is both his strongest work and now my favorite work of his. I feel pretty good about saying that because I've gone back and listened to his other albums a lot, but not quite as much as this. Like even now, like when we end this, I kind of want to just drive home listening to this album, putting it on just straight through because I really loved it that much. Definitely like top tier. Tyler was just in top form here. Like he feels like a complete artist at this point in his career. This is definitely a great rap album. I can definitely see this getting up. It's early in this point of the Grammy season in terms of like nominations, but I definitely could see this getting album of the year from within a year's time. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I love this album.
And the numbers are showing. That's the thing, like, because like music, anybody can have any opinion, and that's the thing that I don't fully agree with usually, where it's like, oh, this album didn't sell number 1, so it's not a good album or anything.
I hate that.
I'm happy that not only is it a good album for a fan or just a regular listener, but the fact that it's doing numbers so people can't really, quote unquote, argue that it's like, oh, it's a bad album. It's like, well, I personally enjoyed the album and it's doing numbers. Like I said earlier, about 3 weeks as of like right now, number 1 album.
Yeah.
And like other artists like Lil Uzi Vert dropped a couple weeks ago. He beat Uzi and
Uzi came and went.
We
don't gotta get into that though. What's your overall?
overall, this is a great album. And as a newer Tyler the Creator fan, it was really exciting for me to, like, I started becoming, like, I would call myself a fan, like, probably around the time Call Me If You Get Lost came out. And it was really exciting to have all these different projects to listen to. And this is, Chromakopia is definitely going to be one of my top albums by Tyler the Creator, and probably will be for a long time. I really couldn't pick a top 3 if I wanted to. I mean, this is definitely up there for me with Igor and Flower Boy, an honorable mention to Wolf, because that was my favorite for a while too.
So those were in no specific order when I said it earlier. Like, I just, each album, if I had to like pick a top whatever.
Yeah.
That's...
Right.
Yeah, and of course Call Me If You Get Lost. Like, they're all great in their own way, and I like that he separates them with these
They're
personas.
all very different.
Yeah.
And that's what's great is because each album is refreshing, but nostalgic in some ways. Like, you can hear old personas kind of leak through in certain things. If not the production, then like his vocals. Like, I love when he does that, like that singing type of thing where he puts that effect on it.
Yeah.
Like his song Puppet off of Igor.
Yeah. I totally forgot what I was going to say. But I really like that each album is different with its own persona.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally lost my train of thought. But but yeah. Is there anything else anybody wants to add? No.
Not in particular, no. Just a really strong body of work from Tyler. Just keeps growing as a rapper, as an artist. It's going to be really hard to top this one in the future.
That's true.
Well, we'll see what you do in the next few years, man. But we'll just bask in the glory of this album because this was a really strong project. But with that, we want to thank my boy Patrick for coming through on this album and this review. Definitely going to be hearing more from him when we do like these rap hip hop albums reviews.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. Definitely got some more on the horizon coming up. We got some really cool. We still got to review the concert.
Yep.
That's
gonna come soon.
Yeah, we'll get that going for you guys soon. We got some other fun things for the year is up to review, some albums, some things going on just personally in music. But with that, everything else.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Still, this is definitely going to be a longer episode, but
a lot to say.
Yeah, we hope you stick around, and we appreciate you listening and following us, and commenting and just taking the time out of your day to listen to this, because this means a lot to us.
It does.
So with that, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Take care
on the Duck Squad podcast.